Hello my friends, and welcome to the very last video that you'll ever see out of this channel. I am sick and tired of making videos. I'm never going to make another one. So take that. April Fools. Anyway, yeah. I got a decent program lined up for you this morning, I think. A few unusuals, and we'll see how it goes. First of all, did the words, "well, that ain't good," mean anything to you? That was my phone. I discovered that Saturday morning down inside my mechanical chair there, and the mechanics were not kind to the phone. And this is an expensive phone. This will be the second screen that I've put on this phone, assuming it works after I get the second screen on it, because it don't work at all right now. I don't know. I'm spending $200 to find out if it's going to work. That's pretty much what I'm doing. I've ordered the new screen. I hope it works. I could tell that it was sort of functioning by pushing buttons, but that's about all I could tell. There was nothing on the screen at all. Bummer, dude. Not only was that broken, but Trinian was here, my grandson, Trinian and Leighton, both my grandsons were here, the youngest two grandsons, and they were fishing all week last week, and Trinian, the 10-year-old, he broke his favorite fishing pole and was really, really upset about it, and I couldn't think of any way to fix it, honestly, because it's the fiber, where the two fiberglass pieces come together, the fiberglass had all broken out. And, and I don't even know, it may be carbon fiber for all I know. It kind of looked like carbon fiber. But anyway, it was broken. And so I thought, well, maybe, so they left on Saturday morning. And Saturday morning, I saw this pole sitting there. And I thought, well, maybe there's a way I can fix that. So I Googled to see if they had a kit for fixing these. Well, it basically turned out to just be a ferrule that you slide the two pieces together. So I just made a ferrule down there on my metal lathe out of aluminum. This part I attached permanently, and I don't know if I can get it apart. I've got it in there pretty tight. This part pulls out. So there you go. So it's still a two-piece rod. It still works perfectly fine. And I sent him a picture that I fixed his favorite fishing rod. So he's pretty happy about that. And he'll get that the next time he comes here, I guess. I loaned him one of my fishing rods in the time being, so he wasn't without one. So that's just yet another one of those miscellaneous things that I do that I typically don't film. Well, the water wheel saga. I've gone from, real high to real low to kind of medium and kind of aggravated, and well, just take a look at this clip, I guess. This will explain some of it. Here we go. Well, my friends, I was trying to balance this wheel, and I think I've got it pretty well perfect. See that little C-clamp? There's a C-clamp on it right there that you can see. That, I just clamped that on there to see what that would do. Honestly, on the very first try, it seems like we got it pretty nailed in. I mean, it'll stop at any random spot now, and it doesn't ever back up. When it doesn't back up, that's an indication that it's pretty well balanced. It's not like Elena does with her propellers and gets them absolutely paper thin perfect. But it don't have to be that perfect. It just has to be fairly close. So you can see it's going up a lot higher this time, and it should stop without backing up. It might have backed up an eighth of an inch right there, but I don't think that's enough to care about. I've got a piece that I made that weighs the same as that clamp. I've tested it very accurately, and I'm just going to go up inside here and weld this in place, and I think that's going to do the trick for us. I've already brought my little Harbor Freight welder in here, and we're going to get that done right now. I've come to a realization that I've got a problem. And that is, this wheel is large. Like I said, I knew it was going to be an issue. The water is coming at it about this high, really. So I'd have to drop this wheel down about 2 feet into the ground, or a little more probably. In other words, this axle is going to be sitting basically right on my concrete floor, maybe 5 inches above the concrete floor, which isn't much. So that means this whole thing is going to be way down in the ground. I really don't like that. The only other option I've got that I can think of, and really I didn't think of it, Sue kind of said it and then it made me think of it, and that is I could have the water coming out here, hitting it on the backside like this. And that way I could have the water coming out lower, and it wouldn't have to be so high. That would bring this whole thing up, quite a bit higher. It's just not my vision. I didn't want to have a back shot water wheel, and the other problem with the back shot water wheel is when it's flooding, when it really is pouring heavy, then where does that water go? And it's just going to splash all over everything. And maybe I can make an offshoot for the overflow and go that way. I don't know. It wasn't my vision. I've got to give it some more thought. But honestly, I think that's what I'm going to have to do to keep the wheel above the ground so that you can even see the darn thing. Okay, so let me tell you the whole story. So, I've known all along, and there's no doubt somebody's going to think I'm an idiot for not measuring this sooner. Well, the problem was I really couldn't measure it sooner until I knew how big the wheel was going to end up. And, you might be able to do that on a drawing and get a good guess, and yeah, you could have. But it wouldn't matter. I can't change what I can't change. So, I've got a certain size steel wheel. I'm going to make a water wheel. And I'm going to keep it as small as I can keep it. I got water coming at a certain height. Can't really do much about that either. All right, so when I went down there to measure it, really it's only like the water is only about, I think, 38 or 9 inches above the concrete floor. Well, the wheel's 60 inches. So if I want an overshot water wheel, which has always been my vision, I want the water to come over the top of the water wheel and fall down into the buckets. That's the normal water wheel. That's the way they typically look. They're not all that way, but that's the way they typically are. There's a lot of undershot water wheels, but you usually need a decent amount of flow for an undershot water wheel pretty much all the time for them to work well. Well, we don't really have that, and we don't have a dependable amount of flow. So having it overshot, coming over and dropping down into the buckets is the more dependable way. Well, honestly, I would have to drop the whole wheel down. In order to have an overshot, I'd have to drop the wheel down all the way to the concrete pretty much. And so 2 feet, at least 2 feet, are going to be down below the foundation of the water wheel house. And driving in, my idea was to see the water wheel really well, and there's a steep bank there. Well, you're going to be more or less looking over the water wheel. You wouldn't even see it hardly. So if I can raise that water wheel back up about 2 feet, where I don't lose all of that down underground, it would be a lot more visible. It would look a lot better. So the only way I can get it to come back up is to have it back shot. In other words, instead of, undershot typically means the water really flows under it. Well, instead of undershot, it would be back shot. In other words, it would drop about halfway down the wheel and, catch on as I was showing in the video. Well, then JR and Sue and we were all talking about it, and I don't know, JR was more like saying that I should just replace the pipe that's going under the road and change that and raise it up. And, I already knew that that could be done, but I can't get a lot of height out of that, I don't think. But then he said, well, I've got some steel pipe over there if you want to try it. I thought, well, if the steel pipe's smaller, because see, I don't need a huge pipe. It's got a pretty big pipe right now, and it's like 14 inches, and it never fills that up. It never fills it up. At best, it might get a third of the way full or maybe half of the way full, but it certainly doesn't fill it up. So I thought if I had a smaller steel pipe, about a 10-inch pipe, because the pipe that's there now is 14-inch, well, that would gain me immediately 4 inches up. You know, every inch counts in this game. And, you know, the how deep it's buried under the road matters. I could raise it up there, you know, and especially being a heavy wall steel pipe like this is, I could raise it up pretty close to the surface. I mean, I maybe only have it, the very top of the pipe might only be 4 or 5 inches under the actual surface, and I think I could get by with that. And I still think heavy trucks like concrete trucks and things could come in, and I don't think it would be a problem. I don't think. You never know, but I don't think it'd be a problem. So I got to looking at that, and I needed a 23-foot long pipe to replace it. You know, 14-inch, if I could go down to 10-inch, it would be just about perfect, I think. Well, a 10-inch pipe I don't have, but his pipe, the pipe that JR has, is like 12 inches. Well, that might be the perfect answer, really, because then it's big enough for sure. You know, even in a major flood, it would still be plenty big. And I could raise it up some. And plus, I do think it's buried a little deeper under the road than I thought it was. So maybe I could raise it up there. I'm thinking all in all, I could get close to a foot raising it up and still have an overshot water wheel where I'd maybe only have a foot underground. I really want the look of an overshot water wheel. It just looks neat to have that trough coming out and the water pouring out of the trough, you know. So looks like I got a lot bigger project ahead of me now. I got to dig out that old pipe. Of course, before I do this, I'm going to take my tripod level up there and measure it really good and see how much I'm going to increase my height. If I can increase it by at least 10 inches, I'm going to do it. But if I can't get at least 10 inches out of it, there's probably no reason to do it. It's just not worth it. But my vision's always been an overshot water wheel, and I just hate to have the backshot water wheel. I mean, it's okay. You're going to still see it spin, but it just isn't going to be as neat looking. And I'm going for looks, you know. I mean, the fact that it's going to have power or not have power, I don't care much about that. Whether I'm going to generate any power from it or not, that doesn't really matter. So anyway, so I've been kind of up and down all weekend, and really because of that and going back and forth and vacillating on what I'm going to do, I decided to take on some more projects. So here's another project that I took on. I'm back at the back pond, and you can see I've got the Bobcat with the backhoe on it, a backhoe attachment. Started digging this years ago, and then I gave up on it because there came a big flood and just filled it in. I wasn't done with it. Well, anyway, once I discovered fish were in here, I went ahead and hurried up and finished it as best I could, though it's not near as deep as I had planned originally. It's only about 4 to 5 feet deep in the deepest place. I also thought I got most of these big roots and trees and things out of here, but there's a few that are still left. So that's why I brought the backhoe here. I thought I'd clean that up and pull those things out. I don't have a camera that I can sit down and show the process, but I'll show you what it looks like once I clean it up. Well, it didn't take long to clean up all that stuff with the backhoe. You can kind of see what I pulled out there. Quite a bit of root wads and stuff, just stuff to catch on your fishing pole, things like that, pieces of roots and things. So that looks pretty good. The water's pretty muddy right now because of that, so I'm going to wait till it clears up and see if I see anything else. Meanwhile, I've got the Bobcat and the backhoe parked over there by the spring. Years ago, they put in clay tile pipe from the spring down this way, and all those clay tiles were little short pieces of pipe. So basically, I'm going to dig all that out of there and find the source of the spring, and then put in a much better plastic type pipe or some other pipe that we can, control the flow better so that it doesn't clog up, because what's in there now isn't working real well. So here's a close-up of what it looks like right now. The water's running out through here and coming into the pond. And you can see here that it goes
into these tree roots and these old clay tiles that are completely full of gravel, and the water's running around it right now. I just want to clean this up, and I hope I don't end up, killing a tree here or something by digging through these roots and stuff. But I just want to find how far back the clay tiles go, because I don't have any idea. Well, I didn't show digging this out, of course, but you can see I dug out quite a large amount of mud. And look right here, here's a piece of white porcelain that came out from here. And that's kind of what I expected. I have a feeling there'll be some artifacts and things in this. In fact, what I think I'm going to do, I'm not going to go that way much further because I'd be into those trees, but I think I'm going to dig a pool here and line this whole pool with rock. And then I'll put my pipe in here to go down to the creek, and that way we can drive through here. This is a common place for us to cut through. You can kind of see that the water I've got back to bedrock. The water's coming out of the bedrock there. And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see it coming out of the bedrock. I really think this is going to be a good thing overall. It's a little bit of extra work. But I think I'm just going to, while I've got the Bobcat here and the backhoe, I think I'm going to just dish this out here a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to line all this with rock. I think it'll be pretty after a while. Well, it's never simple, that's for sure, but I dug this out kind of a pool shape. I don't care that it's perfect or anything, we don't need that, but we'll put flat rock across the bottom of this and then stack them up along the edges and make it a real nice pool of water. And hopefully we'll make it where it'll raise up the water level and then let the water run through the pipe down into the pond. As it is, the water's going to eventually start running down through here. Right now it's a little muddy. I might scrape a little bit of that out so that it finds its path through here quicker. Turned out pretty good. That's pretty much what I expected to see, is the water running out of rock like that right there. Well, now that I got that dug out to where I want it for now, I still see there's still one little limb here and some roots looking right here that I didn't notice before. And I don't know how I missed that, but there's a pretty big root wad right there. So I'm going to pull that out and call the pond project and the spring project done for the moment. There's no rush to finish this up. It's just I wanted to do this for a long time, and I thought, well, if I just bring the backhoe back there, but I don't ever have an instance to bring the backhoe back here, so I just decided to make an instance, and that's what I did today.
Yeah, just one more little minor project. I've got a list longer than, you couldn't imagine. You just couldn't imagine. There's so many things I want to do. So little time. Let's see. And I'll warn you ahead of time, if you're wearing headphones, you might want to turn it down a little bit on the sound, because the Bobcat's running in the background on this next clip, and I couldn't get to it to throttle it down. It's just awkward. I was in a precarious position, and I couldn't reach the throttle. So here's this clip.
For years now, I've wanted to dig out this cave. This was the first cave I discovered, but the roof caved in on it. I'm here in the creek, and I've got the Bobcat in a precarious position, but I decided to film just a little bit so you can see a little bit of the before, and I'll show you what it looks like after.
Somebody, Gary Cooper says, lost ya. I don't know what that means, lost ya. I'm assuming we're still live and it's still working. It seems like it is. Don't know what lost you means. Anyway, as far as I can tell, it's still working. We got 152 viewers at the moment. It says we've been going for 19 minutes and 50 seconds. So anyway, those are the 3 clips that I had for you today. And I didn't go back and show you the cave after I dug it out. I'll try to go back there today and get a picture of that and show you that tomorrow. That was the first cave that I found on the property, and I found it with just a long stick, and I stuck it way back in this hole. It was just a groundhog hole. And I thought, boy, that looks bigger than a groundhog hole. So I just took a long stick about 12 foot long and stuck it back in there, and I could wiggle it around. So I knew there was some sort of a cave there. So I dug it out a long time ago with a shovel a little bit, and I didn't like the look of the roof. The roof was real shaly and it could cave in, but yet I could see back in there that it might actually open up, but it was all filled in with dirt and shale and everything. So I thought if I could ever get the Bobcat up there, well, if those of you who have been following me for a long time, that Bobcat backhoe attachment, the backhoe attachment fit a much smaller Bobcat, and I called Bobcat when I got this big Bobcat, this T300. When I got the T300, I called Bobcat and asked him, I said, can I make this backhoe attachment fit this T300? And they said, no, impossible, can't do it. I said, challenge accepted. So anyway, I cut it apart and rebuilt it to fit this T300. And the advantage of it now, see, I couldn't do this with the old Bobcat. The advantage of it now is this T300, I can raise the whole backhoe attachment up and set myself up closer to that hill. See, that's way up on the hillside. It's a steep hill. It's like this steep. It's a bank. It's not really a hill. And it's like this steep. And so you can't really crawl up it with the Bobcat. It won't crawl up that thing. But I can start up it, and then I can raise the arms up. And so now I got the backhoe up there close enough where I could reach in and dig some stuff out. Now, if I had a big excavator or something, I could do that. But it's in really tight quarters, so even a big excavator would have trouble. So actually, it worked pretty good. I did dig out quite a bit of dirt. I don't think I can see anything better really now. The reason I wanted to dig it out was I thought, well, that might allow itself to open up a little bit more down the road here, let it weather a while, and maybe I can see some small opening back in there or something, and it would be cool to have yet another cave there. Anyway, the main cave, the bigger cave that you've seen on the channel before, is just, as I was facing that cave, it's just to the right down the creek about 20 yards or so is where the other cave is. So they could be connected even. It's possible. But the other cave is silted in. As you go back about 50 feet or so, it's completely silted in. You can't go any further in it. So I'm hoping this cave might have a different option. You just never know. Stuff I like to do. Just stuff I like to do. I don't know why. I just do. All right, moving on. I found some more stuff with the metal detector also. And let me see. I'll start with the least and go to the best, I guess. This is a lead deal. I don't know what it is. It could be a lead weight off of some sort of a fishing net type deal, but I found it out in the middle of these fields, and it's unlikely that it's got anything to do with fishing. I mean, I was wondering if it couldn't be some sort of a deal where you'd put, a cable through here, a cable through there, and then squeeze it as a clamp type deal. I don't know what it is, but I believe it is lead. It's pretty well white. It's very, very old. I think it's from the 1800s at least. I don't know what that would be. Have no real good guess. Possibly Civil War is what I was thinking. Here's another thing that's possibly Civil War, and you probably can't tell what it is, but it's a gun cleaning end off of like a ramrod. This would go on the end of a ramrod, and you'd put patches on this, and it's got ridges that are angled backwards. So once you push it down in the rifle, then the cloth would hang onto those ridges, and you could pull the cloth back out. And of course, the thing's not focused again, of course. But anyway, that's what that is. And again, I found it out in the middle of the field. It's unlikely it's a gun cleaning kit from the farmer that would have lived here or whatever, because why would they take it out in the middle of the field to clean their gun? You know what I'm saying? You typically do that in your house. But soldiers would do that out in the field. So to me, it's very possibly could be Civil War again. It's brass. Don't really know. Can't really say. And here is the mystery item. Now, I'm going to preface, I wish this thing would focus. It drives me bonkers. I'm going to preface this by saying that I already know quite a bit about guns and bullets and, muzzle loaders and rim fires. And, I pretty much know about that stuff. Do I think I'm the expert? No, I don't think I'm an expert. But I've seen a lot. There's hardly anything you could throw at me with guns or ammunition or things that I haven't seen. But I haven't seen this. And I don't know what this is. It looks like a bullet. I think it is a bullet, but I've never seen one like it. This white end on here is lead. This case is crimped. There's a crimp around it right here to hold the lead in, I think. This part here would have had powder, but you notice there's no rim around this like most bullets would have. It's smooth on the end. This part is brass or copper or something. It's not metallic at all. I mean, it's not magnetic at all. I've tested it with a magnet, but I have never seen a bullet like this. I've searched a little bit this morning looking for something. It's about a .30 caliber is what it is. In fact, I measured it with this, and it comes out to be right at 30 caliber. By the way, this gun cleaning thing, when you measure that in terms of caliber, it's a little bigger than 45 caliber. So this wouldn't have been for cleaning a 45 caliber muzzle loader. It would have been for cleaning something bigger than that, like a 54 caliber or 58 caliber probably could be cleaned with this, depending on the thickness of the cloth. So you'd push it down in there and pull it back out. But anyway, if anybody's got an idea about this kind of bullet, now there's one more thing about this that really makes it a mystery, and it's just so aggravating the way it won't focus. Oh, I'm going to get some different kind of camera. This thing's driving me crazy. But anyway, there is one more thing about this. When you get it in the right light, it appears like there's almost like riflings around the outside of this brass case. Now that really throws me off. It almost looks like it's been shot out of something, and it's got little riflings around it, little marks around it. They don't go around in a circle. They kind of go at a very slight angle. Little marks that go at a very slight angle. I just hate it when stuff like this happens. It just isn't right. Let's go to the comments before I lose my mind. For today, the people that bid on those instruments and stuff, they probably feel abandoned, and I'm sorry. I just got lots on my plate, and I am planning to devote today to getting the auction stuff all caught up, and like I said, my phone broke, and just all kinds of stuff that just caused me to just more or less go into depression this weekend. And this got caught between the metal mechanism in that chair there. So hardly any kind of a case is going to protect it. It was in a case, but hardly any kind of case is going to protect that. It kind of like got scissored. So, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, today I'm going to work on the auction. And I wish this would focus. It drives me crazy when it does that. Just don't know how it can go along so good and focus, and then all of a sudden it just isn't going to focus anymore. It just makes no sense. There it is. Okay. Rod Wentler is number one. And let's see. Let me turn it down. I'm afraid to touch it now. And then there's Terry Hackard and John Pepper and David Tharp and Timothy Verblow. Looking for question marks. Let's see. Bill Mumbo. Anybody else see Tim Sway's channel? His tone wood pedals look great. Look at the true bypass circuitry. Wow. I don't know about that. Moving on down. side conversations there. Donald Matthews, good morning all. Itchy Boots is on a real road. Not what I was expecting. Yeah, but I think that's only temporary. She had to find some way to get through those mountains to get to the west side of the island, it looked like. And yeah, it's not what I expected. That island is not what I expected. I mean, it's a huge, huge island. But I was expecting like 99% jungle is what I was expecting. Based on the documentaries I've seen on Madagascar in the past, everything was filmed in the jungle, you know. So I just expected it all to be jungle, and it's really rolling mountains and hills and green. It almost looks more like Ireland in a way. It's really pretty. There's a whole lot of comments before we went live, but I don't see any question marks too much for myself here. Okay, after we went live, Bo Horn says, hey, my friend, Itchy Boots found some good trees for firewood in Madagascar. One tree would get you through the winter. Yeah, those look like they are huge, those baobab trees. But, Bo, I challenge you that I'm pretty sure I could burn one of those in a winter. I'm pretty positive, in fact. I'm about 99.9% positive I could burn the whole tree in one winter. Yeah, of course, that's what you said. It'd get me through one winter, but that's about all it would get me through. If I made it to the end of the winter with that one tree, I'd be surprised, actually. It's you'd be surprised how much wood I cut and burn here. You would not even believe it if you saw it. You wouldn't believe it. I mean, a pickup truck load every 2 or 3 days. Every 2 or 3 days. That's a lot of wood. You figure it out over the year. Dottie Hildebrand, did you fix the rod with hide glue? Dottie, I'm banning you from the vlogs. No, I did use CA glue on the bottom part here. It was a press fit. In fact, I had to even drive it on a little bit, and then I put CA glue around the bottom piece, so it is held on there with some glue. But the top piece, I don't have anything, just friction holding the top piece. And I do think someone I think said that rod's going to be better than I saw somebody's comment that it'll be. I think it was Bill Webb. That it'll be better than new. And I do think so. I don't think it's ever going to break again now, because that fiberglass stuff or carbon fiber, how many of you really like carbon fiber? Every time I've had anything to do with carbon fiber, it's broken. You know, like carbon fiber arrows, for example, they break at just the simplest thing. You know, you hit some little minor thing where the old aluminum arrows, they might bend, but you can straighten a bend and you can make them perfectly straight and make them shootable again. Not so much with carbon fiber. See you later. They're gone. You got to throw it away and start over. But no, Dottie, I did not use hide glue. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Zappa, Jerry, you should get an otter case for your telephone. They really do protect. Yeah, well, the case I had was fairly protective, but when you get mechanical gears closing in on something, it's not much going to protect it, I don't think. But I already did order a much more protective case. So I don't know. It wasn't the Otter brand, but it did have a really, really nice rating. So I'm hoping it'll be good. It says it passes the military standards or whatever. That's what it says. But you know, it's marketing hype. Anyway, Ronald Todd, as an old fishing rod builder, Jerry, that's exactly how you repair that broken rod. Well, thank you. I turned it down on my metal lathe. That was a piece of aluminum that was probably as big around as my finger there. You know, it was probably that big around, and I just turned it down and then, drilled holes in it and stuff. Actually, I drilled the holes before I turned it down. Gary Cooper, Zappa 1, PT is correct. Okay, that must be a private conversation, I guess. Okay, let's rock it right. He says, this is probably a stupid comment, given the fact I don't know what I don't know. Could the wheel be turned around to make it overshot at a correct elevation? No, you can't change what you can't change. In other words, the water's coming at a certain height, the wheel is a certain size, and the only way you can get, water's not ever going to run uphill, so it only runs at its level, So in order to make that work the way it is presently, the only thing I can do is drop the wheel down until the water comes over the top of it. That's the only thing you can do. There's no other option right now. But like I said, I'm gonna take the tripod level up there maybe late this afternoon or something, or maybe tomorrow, because I may not have time today with the auction stuff. It's going to take me all day to do the auction stuff, I guarantee you. But anyway, the next opportunity I have, I'm going to take the tripod level up there, and I'm going to very carefully measure the levels and everything and see if I can raise that water coming out of that pipe. If I could raise it by at least 10 inches, I think I can still have an overshot and I'd be okay with it. If I can't get at least 10 inches out of it, it's probably not even worth doing. I would prefer to get, of course, 15 inches would be great. Chuck Hydebreder, have the water go past the wheel, then go to the buckets. I don't know what that means, honestly. There's no real good option, I don't think. I mean, you mean like go around it and then come back to the buckets? Same difference. Might as well just go off the back. I'm wanting the look of the trough coming above the water wheel and the water falling down. That's what I'm looking for, that look. There's a million ways to skin the cat, but none of them are going to give me that look. And so I want that look. Zappa says use flex pipe to direct the water under the wheel. Yeah, but that don't work so great either, because the water, when you only got a trickle coming out and you got a 4-inch flex pipe, and 4-inch would be way small actually. It's going to be at the bottom of that 4 inches, so it's going to go under your buckets anyway. And you'd really have to have a concrete trough to contain the water, and you'd have to have your buckets really close to the bottom of the trough. It's undershot's impossible for this particular spot. I mean, it's not impossible. You could do it, but you'd have to do a lot of engineering and a lot of work to make an undershot water wheel. The backshot water wheel is fairly simple. I can do that, and I can do that with the way I've got it right now. All that takes is for me to take the wheel off the axle, turn the wheel around, put it back on the axle, and then I've got a backshot water wheel. But I don't want a backshot water wheel. I want an overshot water wheel. That's what I want. So that's my vision, and that's what I'm going to try to get. And if I can get it, I'm going to get it. And if not, it'll be backshot. Bill Webb says you're still good on my end, so I guess that was regarding that other comment. Ronald Todd, Jerry, whenever you play with your toys, it always turns out to be work. Yeah, that's for sure. But they sure do make the work a lot easier than doing it by hand. And it would be so nice to have an excavator. I mean, they're so much more versatile when it comes to that kind of digging, but it's another machine that costs another 30 or 40 or 50,000 or more, and or a lot more. And this one doesn't really cost anything because I already have it. And it does most of what I need to do. It would be nice to have an excavator at times, but I can do almost anything with that I need. It just takes longer. Peter Lobick, if it doesn't focus, I just think I'm drunk. That is okay for me. Let's see. Bill Mumbo. It's Tim's April Fool skit. Tim's April Fool skit. Okay. Dottie Hildebrandt. Jerry, I was just kidding. I know you were just kidding, Dottie. I was just kidding about banning you, too. Let's see, Larry Fisher. That lead tube looks like the weights that are on the bottom rope of a fishing seine. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. It does look like it would be off of a fishing net, possibly, but I doubt it. Out in the middle of this hayfield, there's really no reason to be using a seine around here. Although you could potentially use a seine to catch minnows out of the creek, I guess, but you don't hardly need a seine. The creek's pretty small. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's very, very, very old. I mean, I know that for sure, just by the white patina on this lead. It's very old. So it's not like anybody did it in the last 50 or 75 years. It's older than that. I'm pretty positive of that. Let's see. Larry Atkins, try moving the two mics to your left for the focus problem. Okay, that's an idea, I guess. But it's focused now, so I'm not going to mess with it right now. But I might try that next time. Let's see. DE says, wasn't that submarine that imploded last year made from carbon fiber? That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of carbon fiber. Now, like Mike Patey, I follow him pretty religiously. He's really a good channel. He's mostly do with aviation, but he has got to be one of the best engineers I've ever seen in my life. I mean, the guy, he just built himself and he's filthy rich. He just built himself a 28-foot deep pool on his back of his house. And the floor in the pool goes all the way to 28 foot deep, or comes all the way up to become a dance floor. It's amazing. The whole technology behind the thing, the way he built it, is just incredible. If you haven't seen it, you need to start watching Mike Patey and go back and take a look at that. But some of the planes he's designed, oh my gosh! And he's using, the reason I brought him up is because he's always using carbon fiber on his planes. He would probably be the only guy I would trust to build something that I had to fly in out of carbon fiber. Carbon fiber just doesn't seem to be all that it's cracked up to be to me. I mean, it's super light and it is super strong, but it's also super brittle. It'll break in a heartbeat. It's got some flex to it. But when it gets past its flex, it snaps like a twig. It's got flex, but then it breaks. I don't know. Ben Boyd, could that old rimless cartridge be a 36 Thor? 36 Thor. Well, maybe. I mean, I don't know anything about that. I definitely don't know all the cartridges for sure. But I've never seen one like this. Never, ever. It's a 0.3. It depends on, it's a little bit out of round. So when I turn it different directions, I get different measurements. So like right here, it's 0.310, 0.315, 0.316. So 0.3 something, 310, and then that's the lead, and then the bullet casing is like a 0.3, 10, 308, so 08 to 10, 0.310 to 0.308 is the range there. The length of this brass is 760.760, so about 3/4 of an inch on the brass. It's got to be some kind of a bullet, I would think, and I would assume it's black powder. I have never seen anything like that. I just would love to know what it is. I searched on a bunch of different ideas and things, but I haven't come up with anything that looks like this. Everything that I find, that even the black powder ones have a rim around them, have some kind of a rim. This has no rim. And the only thing that throws me is that Like I said, it looks like it has some very tiny riflings around it. Very tiny rifling marks, which doesn't make sense. So I'm wondering, could this have been some sort of a projectile inside of a bullet, of some other kind of bullet or something? Did they have something like that? Maybe this was designed that on impact it would explode, like during the Civil War, because it's very old again. This is not new. It's very old. I just don't know what that could be. I'd never seen anything like it. So I would love to find that out for sure. Moving on down here, do we have any other... Zappa says, 2 Set Violin just did a YouTube video on human hair on a bow. Yeah, I'm always teasing girls. I said, wait, can I cut off a little piece of that there? I need to rehair my fiddle bow. Bill Webb, listen, there's just comments there. I don't see any question marks. Well, Bill Webb says the front of the cartridge actually goes into the back of the cylinder to seal it. Yeah, this is definitely inside there, and there's like a little neck on it. If you look there, you can see it's a little bit smaller as it goes into there. And there are little, this crimp is intentional. You can tell it's obvious intentional crimp. It's got little jagged lines around it. I don't know if it'll probably never focus on that. Anyway, it focuses on this though. Yeah, I don't think it's focused. I don't think it's focused on those microphones, so I don't think that's going to help. It just is what it is. A piece of junk is really what it amounts to. I don't know. It's just a piece of junk. That's what it really is. It's a piece of junk camera. And I can't really, I've looked and can't really find one that I think is going to do any better. That's the problem. I've searched quite a bit on cameras, and I don't know. Nancy says she loves her carbon fiber violin bow. Well, I don't think carbon fiber instruments are bad either. But on the other hand, I don't think I'd want to trust my life to one of them, flying in an airplane. I think carbon fiber is really good for a lot of things, but I'm not so sure I'd like it for an airplane. And like I said, on a fishing rod like this, I think it's good until it's not, I mean, it's got flex, but then when it doesn't have flex, it just snaps. All right, moving. I think that's it. Guys, I think I'm going to call that as it. I'm going to get busy, even in my unfocused life here. I'm going to get busy on working on the auction stuff because I am way behind. I need to get that caught up. I'm probably going to have to go to town to get some boxes, instrument boxes for the shipping. I've got a box I think I can ship the mandolin in, but I don't have a box for the 2 guitars. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you all for being here. We will see you tomorrow with something else, and hopefully we'll be in some focus for at least part of the time. We'll see you then.